Welcome, world, to Life, Love, and Wellness Global, a worldwide wellness movement. I am Reverend Sandy Rogers, and as the creator of this historic event, it is my pleasure to welcome you. We come together to bring you this historic event. We have practitioners, holistic practitioners. We have medical doctors. We have spiritual individuals. This event is so lovingly dedicated to my mother, Mrs. Marietta Brown. And my mother taught me like 40 plus years ago about the importance and the meaning behind herbs. And she would always say, we don't know what they putting in those pills, so you better not, get hooked on prescription drugs. And so we listened to Mom, but not all of us paid attention. My sister, bless her heart, was diagnosed recently thereafter with asthma, and she was prescribed prednisone, which is a very powerful steroid. And my sister actually got hooked on steroids, like someone out on the street kind of hooked, like on heroin or crack or something like that. And so my mom and my sister are both on the other side, living in the other dimension, but they're upholding me, and this is dedicated to their memory. So we don't want to come and make you change your mind about what you're doing. We just want to provide information to you, something different, so that you have options to choose from, so that you're not stuck. Because the environment that we now live in, the fast foods, the toxins in the air that we breathe and in the water that we drink, and the processed foods, and all of that is causing havoc on this precious body temple. So God created our bodies to heal themselves, but they can only heal themselves when they're fed and they're nourished and they're stress-free. And so the 60 or so or more experts that we have are bringing you this worldwide wellness movement in an attempt to share their testimonies and their information with you. So we have from age 14 on up. I don't even know what the oldest age is. I think 88 or something. So you see, that's a wide range of knowledge that we're bringing you. And so we hope that you come and that you get all the knowledge that you need to affect a positive change on your life, and share this with others. It's free, it's online, and so we're just so thankful that you decided to be a part of our listening community, the viewing community, and we certainly appreciate you for giving us your time of day and your energy and your efforts to being with us and to being a part of this historic event. We have pulled together people of color for you, by you, right? So we want to make sure that you understand that we too, melanated people with color, can enjoy, practice, and participate in some of these modalities that others have been doing for centuries, and that is pretty new to our community. So we talk about Qigong, we talk about meditation, yoga, spiritual work from a different perspective than religion. So we talk about the spirituality aspect. We talk about abuse in the families. We talk about all kinds of subjects because we know that in our communities there are layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff that we never talk about that's causing a negative effect on our bodies and its healing process. So we address it, whatever it is, and we hope that you will benefit from the many experts that we have, and that you walk away with lots of knowledge and lots of new information, and that you become fully empowered to share information with others. So thank you for being with us. We love you and we bless you, and we look forward to doing this again. But thanks for being here with the first one. We appreciate you.
Love and wellness. Life, love, and wellness.
Welcome to Life, Love, and Wellness Global, a worldwide wellness webinar. So today we have with us the beautiful, the talented, the incomparable Dr. Melodie Black. So Dr. Black, would you please introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Good morning. My name is Dr. Melodie Black. I'm a chiropractor over at Life University. I've been practicing since 2007, so this is year 11 now. But I have private practice is MJ Mitchell Wellness located in Kennesaw. But I'm also a full-time faculty clinician in the outpatient clinic over at Life University in Marietta, Georgia, using our hands. So it's that practice with chiro with our hands. And so what we do is there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves that come out of your back of your spine. And so those nerves go to every muscle, every bone, every organ, and every tissue in our body. And so when those nerves come out and they go to all those different areas, they communicate back and forth with messages. And so if there's a bone out of place in your spine, that's what us as chiropractors do to make sure we locate where that misplaced bone is. And with the use of our hands or sometimes an instrument, we move those bones back into their proper place so that that communication can still go free between your nerves. And so we make sure that we correct misalignments in the actual spine, which are the bones down the back.
That sounds so interesting. So our bones in our back and our spine can be out of alignment and we can still move around and not really know?
We can have all those different actions going on without knowing that there is a misfunction. And so the bones come out, and so you have the back of your head and you have the nerves that go all the way down from the back of your head, all the bones to your hips and your tailbone. And so it could be a very slight misalignment where the bones are supposed to be on top of themselves, and it could be just a slight little shift. And you can see with my hands, if I have a slight shift, there's not a good space in between. And so that's what will happen if you hear of a pinched nerve. If you hear that on TV or hear that mentioned somewhere, that is a lot of times can be the issue, is that there is a misplaced bone. And so what we do is we shift those bones back into their proper place, and in that way you have correct communication and correct flow. So sometimes it can be painful, and a lot of times people don't know that they have that issue until pain is present. And well, let me go to a doctor, let me go ask and see what's going on, let me find out where this pain is coming from. But there's also a possibility that there's a bone out of place without pain being present, but that function is diminished in the area where those nerves and tissues and all that is supposed to have correct flow back and forth, and it's got a little bit of resistance. And so we try to locate that for you so that we can help you understand that this misalignment could interrupt function somewhere else in your body. And so it's another good way to take care of your body is to make sure that every area has proper communication, which is back and forth with making sure there's no misalignment. So that's what us as chiropractors do. That's the main premise, is to make sure that we can correct those misalignments, but to also be an advocate with you so that you can be aware of how best to take care of your body.
It's so fascinating. So if a person has been told that they have back issues, can you still help, or do they necessarily need to go have the surgery to correct the imbalance with the bones?
We try to make sure that we can help as much as possible. So it's ideal to make sure that you get checked early and often. And in that way, if there's ever an issue where there is an injury, sometimes drugs and surgery is necessary because the injury is just too far great. But for prevention and maintenance and, well, let me make sure I'm good and healthy outside of an injury, outside of major surgery, that is what chiropractic can really do, because it can keep the whole family healthy. A lot of times people wait until there's a car accident, or they wait until there's something devastating to an injury. But I often tell many clients, many students, many patients that people of all ages have a spine, and children, middle-aged adults, older adults, all of us have ways that our bodies can function better, and that is where chiropractic can help. So you're never too young, and you don't have to wait until there's a pain or strain or injury. Do it for prevention and maintenance, just like to comb your hair or brush your teeth. Okay, let me take care of my spine. Let me take care of the bones in my back.
That's beautiful. Is the fact of childbirth, of being pulled from the mother, could that, like with the forceps, could that be like the very beginning of our spine being out of alignment?
That's actually exactly right. That is the case of the first possible misalignment that we can have, is just by the nature of childbirth and delivery of getting us here into the world. A lot of times if it could be a regular natural delivery without a lot of drugs or epidurals or anything involved, and it's just the mom pushing the baby out and them twisting the baby as they pull. That's enough in their neck to make sure that there is a misalignment that doesn't quite all the way go back into a full proper place. And so my personal experience, the youngest child I've ever adjusted was 6 weeks old.
Wow.
With a very great delivery and someone that was very in tune with natural health and holistic and chiropractic. And so, of course, mom and baby had a great delivery in the hospital, and they came to see me, those first few weeks later, so that I can, of course, welcome the baby and take care of the baby with an adjustment. And so that particular patient, I was able to take care of mom all throughout her pregnancy, and the delivery went very well. No issues or complications, and the baby is doing well as well. So yes, with childbirth, it is traumatic. Sometimes there's C-sections, sometimes there's instruments that they got to use just to make sure that baby and mom can safely get through the entire delivery process. And so we try to make sure that if it's just a small adjustment where we, get that misalignment out of the infant's neck, just to make sure that the baby is okay, that is one of the first adjustments, but that's also stemming from the very first misalignment that we can have. So never too young.
So how does that benefit the child?
That
the
will
baby?
benefit an infant of literally hours or days or weeks old. It will benefit them immediately with making sure that those early stages of development, that there's no hindrance or any backup in function, because there are nerves that come out right at the base of our skull, right there close to our brain stem and our brain activity. And so for an infant, you definitely want to make sure, if they're literally that young, that they have no problems with any flow, because that's the part of their continued development and growth. Now later on, if it's a child that's more closer to toddler age, that's often a time where there's a lot of ear infections, or they're teething and they're starting to cut teeth for the first time as their teeth grow in. And so a lot of those issues can come from making sure that we don't have anything that's blocked. And so if they're teething and they have they're drooling and a lot of that, and they're kind of making sure that as those teeth come in, they don't have any issues with pain will come. But if you want good circulation, it's good to make sure that child continues to get adjusted in even those misalignments, because it can help everything circulate better and hopefully hold back the process of ear infections coming so often. It's not a cure-all, but it's definitely something that can help, because maybe it can make sure that they're less frequent or less severe when they do come. A lot of times, same experience with a different patient, had a child that had colic, so lots of gas, and their stomach was very tight, tight and gas bubbles, and that baby can't talk to let us know that they are in pain. They're just crying and crying, and the mom was almost at her wit's end. And it turned out that there was a misalignment lower in the child's back, but that helped to release a lot of circulation issues they was able to release the gas, thankfully, but they was also more comfortable and able to sleep. So with different examples like those, when it comes to infants, toddlers, and later on when our kids get more active with sports, chiropractic care can help out a lot, because it's a lot of prevention that we try to make sure that we target with the parents. And that way, hey, you know, they're strong, they're stable, mostly injury free. When it comes to the infants and pre-K and starting school and just being exposed to a lot more germs, it really helps with immune system, because those nerves in the immune system is keeping the child a little bit more stronger, so they can build up resistance a little bit better to those common issues. And same thing, it can still come, but maybe it diminishes how long those different colds and things last. And so I really can't reiterate enough that it's really good for prevention aspects, because you save time and money by making sure that you have a good health routine, and chiropractic can definitely be a part of that for children, for adults, for really us of all ages.
Those are excellent points, especially with children. I had never considered how important it is, especially with the boys and the girls playing sports. I know as a teenager I played baseball and slid into second base and twisted my knee and had to have surgery. And so as far as the back and the alignment, it was never considered and never talked about. So thank you for those points, especially for our children. One of the things when I did my initial assessment in going to a chiropractor is that they questioned me in regards to traumatic experiences, and I didn't think I had any. And so the person was, well, what, have you ever been in a car accident? And that was when I realized that playing sports was traumatic to the body. Even like you were talking about the C-section that I had in delivering my child. And so those are situations that we don't understand the correlation with our spine in those situations, so that we don't consider going to a chiropractor, or a lot of us don't even know that a chiropractor exists.
Yeah, a lot of times that is it's a common aspect that people only think about a doctor in a time of pain or in a time of crisis. And so sometimes chiropractors fell into that box as well, where it's like, well, I won't think about getting my back fixed by a chiropractor unless I have an accident. And that's not the case. It's something where, of course, that's a scenario where we can be very beneficial. And so are scenarios where there's other healthcare providers that can be beneficial in those times of distress. But I like to emphasize that with maintenance care and self-care is something that we really don't pay attention to as much, and it can help so much more by making sure that there's not really serious chronic disease issues or chronic pain issues that you have to deal with later in life, by taking care of yourself younger and all throughout your life. You know, it's one of those things where, just like you form those building blocks with education so that you can be more, have access to more resources as an adult, you start with those building blocks young. What do I read? Learning to read, learning math, all those different aspects, so that it can make you really more accountable for what you plan to do in your future. Well, I say that that's the same aspect that you should take with your health. You are mindful of the food that you eat. You cater to the things that you like, but you also wanted to make sure that it is a way to form nourishment for your body. So with the nerves, with our bodies, making sure that the spine, all of our joints, that everything is moving in a correct aspect, that sets you up to being able to be healthy for your family, for yourself, for your future goals and aspirations that you have in your life. You have to have your health to be able to carry you through. It's a statement that's been kind of thrown around, health is wealth, but you can have the very richest people in the world, but if they don't have good health, all that money doesn't do much for them. And it's the same even if you're not rich. You got to be able to have a a body that carries you through that hopefully functions well. And so when we ask about background, and when most doctors are trying to see, well, tell us your story. Do you have past trauma? Do you have past issues? Like I mentioned before, all of those are building blocks to could explain why your body reacts the way that it does, why you may compensate, and why you may or try to reserve in different areas. It all kind of helps us piece together a puzzle that is you, and that helps us have a better understanding. Well, how do I better take care of you now that I understand what you have been through? And so a lot of times we ask about traumatic when it's physical trauma, and now it's more things in the media and in news and in books where it's just like, okay, make sure you take care of mental and emotional trauma, because there's all these different things affect how your body can function. And so if you want your body to function the best way, well, let me make sure that we kind of put a Band-Aid on every wound that you have within reason. We try to get to those wounded and traumatic areas so that you truly can heal. And so I think it's a good aspect that people understand that if they've been through some sort of accident or injury, it could come up with issues later. And so when you try to deal with it at that time, make sure that you work with people who are good healthcare providers to help you really get the full extent of the best healing that you deserve, so you can feel better and live your best life.
Some of the time, we don't know what feel good really feels like.
That's
because we've been in pain all of our life, and so it's like, I'm okay, I'm really okay. And so that was my experience.
Okay.
I didn't know that my body was out of alignment or that I could live a better lifestyle. And so why do you think that chiropractic care is not spoken about a lot in our communities, or that our general practitioners are not telling us or referring us to chiropractors, so that we do experience a more balanced, total, healthy lifestyle?
I think that the word is getting out a little bit better, but you're right, it's not as advertised as much. And so anything like this, we really try to be impactful with doing a little bit more community outreach. And in that way, it's like, well, who are you and what do you do? Now we can kind of come into more of an aspect of starting as a grassroots on the ground with community events and different festivals and different outreach programs that the school is invited to. I also encourage future doctors, as they come out, get out into your community, set up a booth, and let them know about the services you provide. And I think as we kind of get more exposure in those ways where we just tell people more about what chiropractic offers outside of a pain management aspect, that people will start to really give it more of a try, and that they will really get on board. I just think the best thing about where things are going is, in the past there's been a little bit of pushback about alternative or holistic or natural medicine. I think now as people read more, as people get more exposure to it, as they research more and read about it on the internet and hear about it from different friends and books in different places, that they really start to get a better understanding of what that can provide as a good choice. And so that way, at least you have a lot of areas where you can take care of your body, and chiropractic could be one of them. So the exposure is growing, but there's still strides to make. As a profession, there's lobbyists that are in place in most of the organizations, and here at the state level, there's chiropractic associations that really try to connect so that we can get a little bit more branding and a little bit more exposure and dollars allocated towards, hey, we deserve to be talked about and discussed as much as WellStar and as much as some of your other major medical providers. And so it's coming around, and I think it's going in a good direction.
How would someone go about choosing a chiropractor?
There's different aspects. So most people really try to make a point to look up things on the internet so that they can see what's in their area. And so that's the best search that I can start with is, chiropractor in your area, and being able to put that in a search engine, whether it's Google, and then we try to get a location that's convenient for you to be able to get to. And then when you are able to get to the nearest provider, just, ask questions. You are your own health advocate, and there may be things that you want them to help you target with specifically. There may be information that we can provide that you don't even think of, and that way it can become a lifestyle and a healthcare partnership. Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to gain weight? Are you in pain? Are you trying to get more energy? We kind of come along and assist you with how you can meet those goals. And then once you've met them, set new goals and make sure that we can get you in a lifestyle that you can manage and keep up. Because like I mentioned before, you definitely deserve to have a good life and good longevity. And if it's something where sometimes as moms, we're on autopilot and I'm fine, and you just keep going. And husbands and dads, same thing. It's like, I gotta work, I gotta go, I gotta provide, and everybody's kind of on autopilot to tune things out. We help you kind of come up with more self-care and tune into yourself. It's not selfish at all, because that way you can be in a place of longevity for your family and for all the things that you enjoy. And so that's a start where it's like, look up ones that are close to your area. And when you are able to go, ask questions. Many try to make a point to offer affordable prices. And so hopefully that wouldn't be an issue. That can be a thing to hold you back. Many take insurance, and many work with, assistance and discount programs. And they don't turn away Medicare. And so there's packages and aspects and affordable for everybody involved. And so that's a start where you can just see who is close to you, and then try to have some questions written down when you go in, and then that way that can kind of help them really fine tune what they can to provide for your particular care.
Great answer. My exposure to chiropractic care came about. I actually had gone into an herb shop looking for some relief from psoriasis and eczema. My feet and my hands were extremely swollen, and in the attempt to get the inflammation down and to control that, the co-owner, a doctor, was in the shop the day that I went in, and he is a chiropractor.
Okay.
And he introduced me and was like, well, let me check. And I'm like, well, what would that have to do with my swollen limbs?
Yeah.
And so I made no connection initially, but I see so much of the benefit in my overall health and sleeping better, feeling better overall. And so that's why I made that statement earlier, that sometimes we don't know that we're in not the best health because we've never experienced the best health. So I feel so blessed to have learned of the practice, and I think it's absolutely wonderful what you guys do to benefit our health.
Yeah, it's a good aspect, because you never know until you're on the other side of it. And so, like I mentioned earlier, every organ, every tissue, every muscle, all the way down to your cells, have to work back and forth with getting information from the nerves. And so things that you don't even think would be connected all of a sudden start to get better. Wow, my limbs aren't as swollen. Eczema and skin issues are starting to clear up because all of those different aspects aren't inflamed as much. It's all functioning better. That flow is better because of the communication between the nerves, the tissues, and the brain. And as chiropractors, we just make sure that there's free flow in between, right at your spine, so that your body can function at its most peak level, at its best performance. And so I'm glad that, he was, in tuned enough to really offer his services. And word of mouth is the best referral. It's just like reading any review on the internet. You may wonder about a business or wonder about a restaurant. It's like, well, I won't go unless somebody tells me about it. Oh, go over here. Hey, this they have great food there. Or hey, go to my friend, she does great nails. Or my friend that does great hair. It's like, yeah, you look great. I know to go because I see the proof in your work and I trust your word. That's the best thing that you can offer with getting more exposure to chiropractic as we come out and do a little bit more outreach as well.
Right. So what other areas or what other modalities do you practice either professionally or personally in the realm of wellness?
Well, in the realm of wellness, I also make a point to follow with good aspects of nutrition. Personally, one of my hobbies is working out and going to the gym. And so through that, I was able to get into bodybuilding. And so at first, I had good friends who work at different gyms, just kind of say, hey, you like to stay in shape anyway. Have you ever seen or are you interested in participating in a bodybuilding competition? And so when that was offered to me locally, I kind of thought nothing of it. And like, well, let me give it a try. It couldn't hurt. And it turned out to be something that really blossomed into bodybuilding for about 5 years now. With Muscle Mania is the main organization that promote quite a few shows. There's several out there, but that's the organization that my friends and I are part of and participate in. There's different categories, and so the category that I competed in is figure. And so with different categories, it comes different guidelines. And so at first, when I got into this and I thought about the old pictures of the Arnold Schwarzenegger and the bodybuilders, it's like, I don't want to be a woman that buffs up like that to almost look like a man. But then that's when I understood what the different categories are. And so you got bikini girls, who's like your Sports Illustrated models, they're curvy. Figures for those who are in between, you got curves, but you also got quite a bit of muscle tone. And physique is the category for those who are like super shredded, which is probably what we've all can recall from seeing old magazines and current websites and current web postings. And so it blossomed into something that was really interesting, but it also aligns right with wellness as far as my actual profession. And so I kind of got to walk and talk the talk a little bit more, because I've always had a healthy lifestyle, but then it was kind of peaked a notch when it came into bodybuilding competitions. And so that's what I do when I'm not helping others, but it turns out to be something that kind of blossoms and grows, not only myself as a quote brand or so, but just to really be exposed to being able to network with people in the health and fitness industry, because that's a whole industry and entity that people can recognize from seeing how in shape men and women are. But just to see what that all entails with nutrition, with wellness care, like we was discussing earlier, it took things up to a whole nother level.
So what's in store for Dr. Black? Do you have ideas to go into different modalities, or what do you see on the horizon for yourself?
The horizon is pretty wide. It's pretty bright. My background is in sports medicine as far as working with basketball and football teams. And so with modalities of that aspect is, learning how to also use different instruments, because all chiropractors are also certified in physical therapy. And so I'm certified in being able to perform with modalities such as ultrasound and lasers and different instruments. And so if that's an aspect where we're looking to explore, okay, do I work at a team level again with a rigorous schedule? That is in discussions. Still will be teaching over in Life University and working in the outpatient clinic. And but also with the bodybuilding and the competing that I mentioned before, definitely looking into competing again probably next year, and then also been toying with the idea of yoga certification, and so that might be something on the horizon next year as well. All things flowing to just take better care of my body and being able to make sure that I share that wealth with the world.
And what message would you like to leave the worldwide audience?
Definitely want to leave the message of health and wellness are one of the best legacies that you can keep and spread out to your family and friends. There's a lot of things where we try to make sure that we try to build and get so much with money and other aspects of building wealth. But I think the best wealth that you can build is the health and understanding of good care and good health care for your mind, body, and spirit.
Well, thank you, Dr. Melodie Black. It has been my pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Life